What does discipline actually mean in your school? Is it a register where students' name get written down? Is it a principal calling children into the office every Friday? Or is it simply whoever shouts the loudest on a particular day? If that's how discipline works in your school, then let me tell you something very clearly. You don't have a discipline system. You have a discipline mood. One day the school is strict, the next day it is relaxed. One teacher ignores a mistake, another teacher gives a warning, a third teacher sends the child straight to the principal office. And children notice this far quicker than adults do. They quickly learn that discipline doesn't depend on the rule, it depends on who is watching. Today, I'm going to show you the exact discipline management system that every school should have. A practical written system that creates consistency, protects teachers, builds parents' confidence, and develops responsible students. By the end of this video, you will have a framework that you can begin implementing in your school immediately. Let's get started. The real problem. Let me give you a very common example. Imagine a class 8 student talks back to a teacher. Nothing unusual. Now, watch what happens. Teacher A asks the student to leave the classroom. Teacher B immediately sends the student to the coordinator. Teacher C ignores it because today is already been stressful and doesn't want another confrontation. Same behavior, three completely different consequences. Now ask yourself, what has the student actually learned? Not that talking back is unacceptable. The student has learned something much more dangerous. If I get teacher A, I'll probably get away with it. If I get teacher B, I need to be careful. If I get teacher C, nothing will. That's not discipline. That's negotiation. And children become experts at negotiating inconsistent systems. This is why many schools struggle with discipline. Not because students are becoming more difficult, but because adults are responding differently to the same behavior. Eventually, parents begin asking questions. Why was my child punished when another student wasn't? Management starts asking, where is our discipline policy? Teachers begin blaming one another. Students lose respect for the process. And suddenly, everyone thinks discipline is becoming impossible. The truth is, the problem isn't the students. The problem is the absence of a system. Why was my child punished when another student wasn't? Management starts asking, where is our discipline policy? Teachers begin blaming one another. Students lose respect for the process. Suddenly, everyone thinks discipline is becoming impossible. The truth is, the problem isn't the students. The problem is the absence of a system. Discipline should never depend on personalities. It should depend on procedures. So, what should a proper discipline management system actually include? In my experience, every effective system is built on four pillars. Let's look at each one of them. Pillar number one, behavior categorization. Everything begins with categorizing behavior. Because if behavior isn't classified, responses can never be standardized. I divide student behavior into three levels. Level 1, minor behavior. These include things like arriving late, incomplete homework, improper uniform, talking in class, forgetting notebooks. These are classroom level issues. The class teacher handles them. A verbal warning is given. If required, a note is written in the diary. simple, quick, no unnecessary escalation. Now comes level 2, moderate behavior, repeated misconduct, disrespect towards teachers, disrupting learning repeatedly, ignoring classroom instructions despite previous warnings. Now, this moves beyond the classroom. The coordinator becomes involved. Parents are informed, a written record is maintained. Then comes level 3, major behavior, bullying, violence, cheating during examinations, serious misconduct, damage to school property, threatening behavior. These require immediate attention. The principal becomes involved. Parents are called. Formal documentation is completed. If required, a disciplinary committee reviews the case. Notice something important here. We are not reacting emotionally. We are responding systematically. The behavior decides the response, not the teacher's mood. Now comes pillar number 2. Now that every behavior has been categorized, the next question is exactly what should happen. And this is where most schools struggle. They decide the consequence after the incident happens. That creates confusion. Instead, every level must already have a predetermined response. For level 1, teacher warning, diary note, monitoring, done. For level 2, coordinator counseling, parent communication within 24 hours, incident documentation, behavior review. For level 3, principal intervention, formal parent meeting, written undertaking if required, disciplinary committee depending on the seriousness. When the response is already written down, teachers stop guessing. Parents see consistency. Students clearly understand consequences. Remember this, never create consequences during an incident. Create them before the incident ever happens. Now, pillar number 3, the documentation part. Now, let's talk about the most ignored part, documentation. Honestly, this is where 90% of schools fail. An incident happens, someone speaks to the child, parents are informed, everything seems fine. Until 3 months later, the parent says, my child was never warned. Now, what happens? One teacher remembers one version, another teacher remembers another version, something else, something different. So, the coordinator isn't also sure. The principal has no written record, and suddenly nobody can prove anything. That's why every level 2 and level 3 incident must be documented. Date, time, student name, description of behavior, action taken, parent communication, teacher signature, coordinator signature, everything. Because documentation creates accountability. It protects the teacher. It protects the school, most importantly. It protects the child. And here is another benefit. When you collect data over time, you start identifying patterns. Which class has the highest incidence? Which behaviors are increasing? Where is intervention needed? Without documentation, you only have opinions. With documentation, you have evidence. And remember this line, what gets documented gets measured. And what gets measured gets improved. Pillar number 4, escalation matrix. Finally, ownership. Who handles what? Every school needs a clearly defined escalation matrix. Teacher, coordinator, vice principal, principal, management committee. Each person should know exactly when the next level becomes necessary. The teacher should not send every issue to the principal. The principal should not handle every late coming case. Otherwise, leadership spends all day solving classroom problems instead of leading the school. An escalation matrix removes confusion. It creates accountability and it ensures that every issue is resolved at the appropriate level itself. When everyone knows their responsibility, the entire school functions with confidence. I once worked with a school where discipline complaints regularly took 3 to 4 days to resolve. Parents were frustrated. Teachers felt unsupported. The principal was involved in almost every issue. The school wasn't lacking commitment, it was lacking structure. We implemented these four pillar discipline framework, behavior categorization, response protocols, documentation, escalation ownership. Within weeks, response time reduced dramatically. Most issues were resolved on the same day. Parents appreciated faster communication. Teachers became more confident. And the principal finally had time to focus on leadership instead of firefighting. That's the difference between managing incidents and managing a system. Before I finish, let me share three mistakes I see repeatedly. First, schools create beautiful policies. They print them, file them, and never train the staff. A policy that nobody follows is just paperwork. Second, schools focus only on punishment. A discipline system should never become a punishment system. Its purpose is to build responsibility, accountability, and self discipline. Recognize positive behaviors too. Celebrate students who consistently do the right thing. Schools grow what they appreciate. Third, parents are informed too late. When communication happens early, trust grows. Even difficult conversations become easier. Remember, parents don't expect perfection, they expect transparency. If discipline in your school still depends on individual teachers, that's the first problem you need to solve. Consistency creates confidence, confidence creates trust, and trust creates a healthy school culture. To make implementation easier, I have created a complete school discipline management system. It includes ready to use SOPs, behavior categorization on frameworks, documentation format, incident registers, escalation matrix, parent communication templates, and implementation guidelines that school can start using immediately. If you would like to have the complete toolkit, simply comment discipline or send me a direct message with the word discipline and I will share the details. If this video gave you practical value, please like it, subscribe it to the channel and share it with another school leader who believes discipline should be built on systems, not emotions. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.